This is a brand new year with a brand new podcast episode. Welcome to the Ultimate Vibe Audio Music Productions. This is the Ultimate Vibe Music Production. just been listening to the instrumental sounds of the instrumentalist musician, Sirius Nubian. Now, we do have our first guest on our brand new podcast. His name is Mario Louis. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a musician, he's a producer, he's also an actor. He's here, we're interviewing him today. The interview is in two parts, so you're going to hear the first part on this podcast. You'll hear the second part of the interview on next week's podcast, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Mario Louis, a very positive gentleman, seems to be very, very organized, very, very talented. So we're going to hear the interview now. Here's the interview. This is Mario Louis.
Right, so you got some a lot of Latino influence in the music for the album that's coming next.
Yeah.
And it's going to have, pop sound to it because of the North American influence. A little bit of R&B.
Yeah.
I love the R&B. And as well, so have that and see where it goes from there. I think it's a good fusion because it also reflects on myself and my story and who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's very expressive. I think it's good, obviously. So that's what's coming up for me next. That's what I want to do.
Right.
There was a good response to a song that I had on my previous album, which it was kind of like a pop reggaeton type of song, and it had a good response. And so this is why I'm trying to expand on what people like more and what I enjoy more, so we can, make something good, make something happen.
That's good.
Yeah, and as well in that album I had a really good kind of a soulful kind of country song. It wasn't country, but it was like more pop, right? Mm-hmm. But it also had a really good response amongst the DJs and local radio stations. They really enjoyed it. Of course, the single of that album was called What's a Guy to Do, which is produced and composed. I co-produced the song, but it was produced by Richard Ugolo, which is a producer that I worked with for the album before this.
Right.
Richard Ugolo has a lot of experience. That man plays a lot of instruments. He plays so many instruments, and for me, he was obviously the person to go to.
Literally plays instruments.
Yeah.
Not the plug-in.
No. He literally plays the instruments.
Yeah, right.
He has all kinds of instruments in his studios where I recorded and mastered the album.
Where's the studio located?
The studio is located Lansdowne and DuPont.
Okay.
But it's his own at-home studio. But the man is obviously, I say the man, but he's a friend of mine for a long time. He knows he practically lives in there, and he's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
As well, myself, I've known him since I was 17 years old.
Okay.
For a very long time, I've known him, and he used to work at a studio down by, you probably might know it. It was called Studio 92. It's located in O'Connor and Donlands. It was a popular studio because I remember when I went to school, for visual and recording arts. And
is that Trebas?
No, it's IADT.
Okay.
They moved on to they moved from Canada.
Right.
But it doesn't really help me in my credentials if they're moving out of Canada. People won't know who they are. Yeah. But so the people that were in that school too, they also, a lot of them teachers well respected that knew a lot about sound engineering, had gone to Studio 92 to record. So it was a studio that had a good name. Cool. It had its name out there professionally, right? Mm-hmm. So I would go there, record all my tracks, and that's how I met Richard Ugolo, the producer. Mm-hmm. And of course, over time, the way I found myself was through cover tracks. Yeah. So, of course, right, a lot of us do that. And I was, of course, writing music on the side and learning throughout the process of recording how I can compose. Right. In this previous album that I'm still promoting right now, I wrote 4 of the songs in there. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's based on everything that I learned throughout my recording history, right? Because I've been recording and writing for such a long time. And eventually you kind of reach in your mind a kind of how can I explain it, a consolidation, where you're like, I know what I'm doing, This is what I want to do, and this is how I want to deliver it.
Yeah.
Whether people like it or not, or whether you know what I mean. But
That's the way it is.
You have a grasp on what the ideas you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because before you know, when you're brand new to something like this, which for me was a very long time ago, you kind of like look at it like, am I doing this right? You kind of create unrealistic imagination about how things work. Rather than when you learn more, you become more realistic about things, and therefore your results become...
you have a better perspective.
You have a better perspective, and therefore your results become a lot better and closer to what, I kind of expected this would happen kind of thing, if it went wrong or if it went right. But of course, in all fairness, unexpected things will happen when you're in the recording studio. As you know, I know that some of my recording vocal pieces, my best ones... Well, some of my best ones were actually done more or less by accident, right?
Do you do pre-production first? Work it all out before you go into the studio and lay it down?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that you're bringing up, because I think that it's because you want to be able to. I mean, the way I approach it is I want to do as much work as I can as possible beforehand, and then when I go to the studio, I come with the gold.
Yeah, just lay it all down.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, it would be really like, how can I say, like amateurish to go in there not knowing what you're doing. For me, that's not my style.
Yeah,
for me,
it's just productive.
Yeah.
And progressive.
Exactly.
Right? Before you go, because if you're like, say if you had like a label, signed to a label.
Yeah.
And you book the studio time.
Yeah.
Those studios are expensive. Right?
Yes, exactly.
So you have to have everything laid out first.
Exactly.
The structure of the song, how you want it arranged, right? So when you go to the studio, you just lay it all down.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. And that's exactly right, because in my most best moments when I'm composing a song or doing any kind of recording, I'm always thinking about, things that might happen and what plan Bs I would have if a particular, I know I'm being very general about this, but we'll say like a particular sound effects I want to try on my song, or a particular lyric that I want to add. If it doesn't work, what's my plan B? So you have to brainstorm through all this, and if you have to write it down. Bring that in.
Just get the rough idea of what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then just lay it down. As I would say, rough tracks, ghost tracks, right? Yeah. And you have the idea of it, and then you just build up off of that.
Exactly. And for me, I followed that structure through, and I'm one of those, like every other sound person out there, that listens to their tracks 200 million times and obsessively. And I mean, this is what makes us what we are. We don't sleep until we got what we want in that studio.
You have it exactly how you want.
Yes, exactly. And of course, like, I have a metaphor. And I have a metaphor for me in that process as well. As you also don't want to treat. You gotta look at it metaphorically like a pancake as well, where you don't want to flip it so many times that it gets burnt as well, right? You also want to be precise and concise about it, like that's enough, because you can add things that, as you may know, might ruin the track.
Overdo it,
exactly, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the thing.
That sounds good, man. So you got like a good plan there, man.
Yeah.
So is your album, is it on an independent label? Is it your own label?
Well, it's my own label, but the track. Like, actually, I have a copy here for you that I brought. Right. It's alternative pop. It's something that's very original out there. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I was a little bit concerned about where I wanted to take the genre of it, right? Right. So I had to be careful with that until I just decided to tailor to more of a pop, alternative pop.
Right. So you consciously think you're going to do a pop.
Yeah. So
you don't just sit back. And
I almost got
it flow out. Yes. It comes out.
Yes, and I almost got detoured by what I wanted to do, but I think in the end it became my own signature thing, my own code, and I think I did very well with it. Like what we just talked about, I applied that whole mentality approach to doing the album, and I at the end, of course, I had those obsessive nights where I couldn't sleep and thinking about how I can make it better, even at the point where I thought, okay, it's good. And then came that part where we talked about, Mario, don't overdo it. So at this point, I thought, okay, this is enough. This is what I want to do with it for now. What's very important to that, though, I wanted to add was that getting the. I love what I do. I'll always love what I do, but I also wanted to know what audiences thought about the tracks. And again, there's some tracks there that on the next album I'm going to capitalize on and amplify in terms of making more of them, because people really love them, especially.
So how many albums have you done so far?
I've done 2 albums. 2 albums and original tracks. I co-produced both albums, and I composed 4 or 5 songs from each album.
Right.
And again, it's very difficult to the ideas, right? But it's of course it's what I'm passionate about. I love doing it. Of course, we all know that, and I really truly believe a lot in the next one that's coming up, because I'm sure you know that every piece of material that you've done makes you feel more confident and better about the next of what you want to do next.
Oh, yeah. When I do something, I always just want to, from last year, I'm thinking how do I sound this year?
Yes.
Where's it going?
Yes.
In terms of the sound, in terms of the groove, in terms of the feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's always it's an evolving process.
Yes, exactly.
It never stagnates.
Exactly. And for me, that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at in the next album is focusing more on the rhythm.
Right.
Because we are talking about a Latin fusion into pop music. So, looking into the rhythm.
You familiar with Cuban band, Detalle?
Detalle.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but...
They were based in Toronto, then they moved to Vancouver.
Oh.
All-girl salsa band.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I had my friend Gilberto, the drummer, and this is why any drummer I deal with now, it's got to be a brother, African American, or a Latino.
Very nice.
Because far as I'm
yes.
concerned, they are the best drummers.
Nice.
Like Gilberto, you want to see this guy play, man. I did a thing with him.
Yes.
I was playing in Vancouver with this other American guy, Baby Harry.
Okay.
A trio.
Oh.
So I brought him in. We were touring around the BC, around where was it now? What's it called? The Revelstoke. That's the place. Revelstoke, Fernie, Golden, those areas. We were touring around there, and we did this show in this venue, and he just lit the whole place up. Absolutely.
Nice.
If you ever see a drummer, take a drum solo and have the whole place calling out his name.
Wow.
That's how vibrant that guy is.
Nice.
And he is easily the best drummer I've ever played with, right? Next to
high
Renato is good. Renato is good too. He's good. He can lay it down good. He's not quite there like Roberto, but he has that feel. He has that groove, that soul, right?
Yeah.
Those are the only guys I want to deal with now, right? That's me.
Nice.
But
I also wanted to mention, because a lot of the songs, now it's going to be the next album that I wanted to talk about is going to be done, it's going to be more personal.
Right.
I'm going to be doing it at my own studio.
Right.
I will, of course, have Richard again coming in.
Right.
Richard Uglo, producer.
So you have your own studio now, like your own setup?
I have my own setup, and that's where I'm going to be creating all this.
So what gear do you have?
I have for interface, I have the Focusrite, which I recommend to people.
I have that.
I have about 3 different types of microphones. One being more for aggressive kind of tones, and one more soft sounding.
Right.
Rode microphone, AKG.
Yeah.
And what else? And of course, what's important too is I would want to say is the acoustic of your room is important too.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. Right?
You're right. On the voices too, right?
Like if you got a lot of keyboards, like I do, right, and it goes through the interface.
Yes.
Right. Then the acoustics is not so important.
No.
Right.
No.
Maybe if you had like a choir in there, or maybe an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
Yeah.
But for a small setup, not so much. If you had like a big place, a big studio.
Yeah.
then that's different.
Yeah.
Right, you got to baffle off the drums and all that kind of stuff, and,
Yeah.
and sound booth for the vocals, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
your own personal studio, not so much.
That's-
Maybe for the vocals, you might have a little
Yeah.
booth for the vocals, right?
Yeah.
But like the keyboards, bass, even electronic drums or the drum machines.
Yes, and that's
put it
yeah.
through the interface.
Yeah.
Right, so,
For me, it's the acoustics I mentioned because, of course, being a vocalist, it just for me it's something that I really look to masterizing as best as possible.
Right.
So I try to look for every kind of possibility to try to make the voice come out as best as possible, right?
Yeah.
And it's also mixing yourself is also can be very difficult to mix your own voice.
well, when you're mixing and producing, all you need is a good pair of ears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What you hear,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's all you need, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you know what I find, Marcus? Sometimes when you record it could be voice, could be instrument. I find that it's important to sleep on it for a night and then wake up the next day
With a fresh pair of ears.
with a fresh pair of ears, because it's the point that you just brought, right?
Yeah.
So being able to sleep on it, kind of heal your creative energy, kind of,
Right.
I don't know how you would call it, kind of
Get
make
it
it
all fresh, and then you have it fresh, and it sounds all fresh and
yeah, and I think that's very important. I think that one would not, it would be best to do that almost in any case, to
Yeah.
be able to just wake up and then be like, okay, does this, or maybe if you have to do a gig or go to work or something, but being able to come back to that and not say the night before that finalized it when no, that's not the case.
Right.
So for me, from a vocalist perspective, that's why I brought up the acoustic part. I think is for me kind of sticks out a lot. But yeah, like I was saying, I will be doing the album in my own studio, and I will be going, maybe I would say, back and forth to Richard's studio, the producer that I'm working with, and because I will need his help in terms of instrumentation and stuff like that. It's a lot of work there, it's kind of difficult to kind of map it out, but all that is coming up soon.
Mm-hmm. So do you have like a backing band?
I have a band that my band that we work with, because I'm a jazz lover. I love jazz. So the band that I'm with, which I'm leading, is a band that we do mostly jazz. Right. We love jazz. It's what we do. And we do songs that more like a bossa nova.
Right.
Mostly bossa novas, like from Antonio Carlos Jobim. And Sergio Mendes, and of course the North American jazz, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, this kind of thing. So that's the band. It's called Jaspiration.
Okay, what's the lineup?
Oh, the songs?
The lineup, the instrumentation.
Oh yes, of course. Well, we're a 4-piece band. It's me, bass, drums, and the lead guitar. Oh no, lead keyboard. Sorry, guitar. Where am I going? That's Rich. That's Richard.
Electric bass or upright bass?
Electric bass. Okay. So yeah, we do places like we were at the Yauka's Lounge, down by close to Bathurst Station.
Okay.
Yauka's Lounge. It's a great place to, by the way, if you wanted a place to go jam. It's a nice little corner.
Right.
They got bands there, good drinks bar. It's very nice.
Right.
Similar to the Rex. I don't know if you're familiar with the Rex.
No, I know what the Rex is. That's on Queen Street.
It's a little bit, it's on Queen Street. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a great place to jam for jazz.
You ever played at the Lula Lounge?
Oh yes, I've never played at the Little Lounge, but I've been there for dancing. I'm a pretty more or less not bad dancer. I'm pretty good at I'm familiar with the I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm award winning, but I know my moves fairly well. But that's just due to my background.
I know.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
And other places I perform would be like the Gibson Center in Markham. I also had the pleasure of singing at the Playhouse Theater in Thornhill.
Okay.
I was there with I believe it was a 9-piece band. They had invited me as a vocalist to do some of their tracks, and it was great. It was a big theater. Most of the place was full, and I had a blast there. And a few other local places and bars, and that's pretty much. And with the band as well, we did some gigs up in, I believe, Brampton.
Brampton?
Yeah.
Okay.
And did some kind of small gigs there.
Right.
But that's what we decided to do, more jazz stuff, because we're jazz lovers, and bossa nova and all that's great.
That's cool. That's nice. You ever guys brought out any albums pertaining to that, the jazz thing?
Yes. I do. Richard himself is also another jazz lover.
Yeah.
He loves jazz. And they had brought out an album. They are, sorry, I forgot the name of their band. They're new, that's why.
Right, okay.
But they had just released a new, maybe I have it on my phone, but anyways, they had released a new jazz album, originally composed new jazz albums.
Right. That's cool.
And that's pretty much as far as the original albums that I've known that were released were by my producer that I've worked with in my life.
You ever listen to Jazz FM?
Jazz FM, I think I might have, but no, it's a good radio station, isn't it? Good jazz, huh?
I listen to that all the time. That's what I listen to.
Is that where you have your nice brandy and then...
Right? But you should definitely get on there.
Yeah.
Right? Get the jazz band to put out an album, whatever, and get it played on there, because they're all about playing Canadian talent.
Oh, that's
Canadian
fantastic.
jazz. They want to boost Canadian jazz.
That's awesome.
It's pretty good. It's really, really good shit. That's all I listen to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean...
And it's not just the traditional jazz they play.
Yeah.
It's all the styles of jazz.
Wow.
The traditional jazz, fusion, jazz funk, Latin jazz. It all sounds good, man. It's all good stuff.
Jazz it up.
Yeah,
that's how it is. And so I mean, that's for me right now. I'm going to do the genre that I'm going to move into. As much as I love jazz, and we were just talking about it, is I'm going to move into for the album to do the pop reggaeton album in English.
Okay.
And again, in my studio, which I have a website for, triamediastudios.com.
Right.
There as well, I'm able to do video and photography.
Right. Okay.
Triamedia Studios. So I'm going to be doing it there, and probably even as well video material as well as photography material for the album itself.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you'll be able to do other projects too besides your own.
Yes, that is correct. I take on other projects. One that would stick out in my mind would be, I can't mention the name, but this particular dancer model,
Right.
I did a video for, and it was really great. She came into a top 50 in a competition.
Right. Okay.
Just across Canada.
Nice.
Right? And I was really proud of that because I did her video.
Right.
And the video managed to...
You thought about getting into short film, documentaries, that sort of thing?
Well, speaking of short film, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually have an acting background.
Yeah, I saw it on your thing on the website.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not Denzel or Jack Nicholson, but I have an acting background.
Right.
I was in a feature film.
Right.
It's called Crimson Sands.
Okay.
I played a character named Tony.
Right.
The film did fairly well. It got nominated to a few awards, and it was about the oppression that happens in the Middle East to women. Mm-hmm. But in this story, a Middle Eastern lady falls in love with a North American man. Right. And so they go through some obstacles. And
the culture clash.
Yeah, and so they go through some obstacles and factors, and well, it would be good to watch the movie and see what happens and how that all plays out, because there's some conflicts and issues that happen between...
So you were just an actor in that? You didn't do the directing or the writing, that kind of thing?
No, not really. I mean, the thing is about acting when you get into a scene, however, is sometimes there's opportunities for you to express your ideas. For example, I can be in a scene and I can tell the director, may I make a suggestion? Even though that's not your job, some directors can actually be like, shush, do your job, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So some ideas I may have shared there. Right. Like, for example, I actually named myself in the movie. I suggested that I would be called Tony. And they said, okay, they could say whatever.
Who was the director?
Director is this a very popular actress, Persian actress. Her name is Gloria Yazdani.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's Persian actress. She's done a lot of theater, a lot of directing, and I was very happy and honestly very honored that because I had to go through a audition for this, and I was very happy when I got it. And of course, it was my first feature film.
Right.
And she expressed her that she was very happy with my work. That I did very well in the scene.
Right.
I usually did background work, extra work, as they call it. But this is the first time I did lines, and she said that, well, she was very happy with my work. So I was very happy with that. I felt flattered. So I do have a background in that. And of course, the music videos, I have 3 music videos that go with the previous album that I did myself.
Right, okay.
And you can check them out. It's Mario Luis Vocals on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram.
You have like a website?
My website right now, my website is the studio website. So anything that I have new coming out will go through there.
And that's called?
www.triamediastudios.com.
Tria Media Studios.
Yes, that's TRIY.
You just heard part 1 of our featured interview from our featured guest, Mario Louis. So the second part of the interview will be on next week's podcast. In the meantime, do you want to drop us an email, touch base, tell us what you think about the podcast? You can do so by going to marcusdavis40@yahoo.ca. You can also go to soulfunkyjazz@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our website at www.seriousnubian.com. We're going to leave you for now with a track from his album. It's a title track from the album. It's called What's a Guy to Do? So we'll see you the next time. So don't forget, stay funky, 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 funky.
I'm presenting out of town. Don't let nobody tie me down. Come and go however I please. 'Cause women want a guy with flair, and ladies say that boy's a player. That's the picture all the world sees. But baby, you changed everything. Turn my whole world upside down. What am I to do? Whenever I'm with you, it's so true. I become a stranger, weak around the knees. Do anything you please. This ain't me, I'm the Lone Ranger. What am I to do? What's a guy to do? Car. The Alpha thought for sure. Now this dog has had its day, hanging on each word you say. Command me, I am yours. Baby, you changed everything. Turn my whole world upside down. Whenever I'm with you, it's so true. I become a stranger, weak around the knees. Do anything you please. This ain't me, I'm the Lone Ranger. What am I to do? What's a guy to do? What am I to do? Wives and lovers come and go, change 'em like a TV show or a radio song. Like snapping for a taxi cab just as soon as one goes past, another one comes along. What's a guy to do whenever I'm with you? It's so true, I've become a stranger, weak around the knees, do anything you please. This ain't me.